Uganda's government has been heavily criticized for the newly introduced surveillance system that allows it to track in real time the location of all citizens' vehicles. Human Rights Watch says the system violates the citizens' right to privacy. However, government has defended the move, saying it is necessary for national security purposes. Let's get some clarity now, and we're joined by a researcher for the Human Rights Watch in Uganda, Mr. Oryem Nyeko. Mr. Nyeko, thank you very much for your time. Let's first understand why the government says this has become necessary, this real-time tracking of every vehicle in Uganda.
Thanks so much for having me. So the rationale that the government has given for the introduction of what it's calling the Intelligent Transport Monitoring System is because of a series of killings of high-profile government officials that happened about 5 or so years ago. The people that killed these people were riding on motorcycles that are usually used for public transport in Uganda.
Yeah.
And the authorities had difficulty in tracing those people. So the President Museveni, introduced this plan to track the locations of vehicles that were used for crimes as a way to combat those kinds of incidents. But instead of focusing on the crime aspect, the government has taken it a step further in introducing this model that basically allows it to, as you said, monitor the location of every vehicle in the country, which for very obvious reasons is very problematic.
Let's understand the reaction from the citizens of Uganda. How do they feel about it? Are they just as concerned about the invasion of privacy?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing about it, the first concern, the major concern that a lot of Ugandans have is that they are being, this system is mandatory. Everybody has to do it within the next 2 years. It's going to be introduced for private vehicles in February next year. Right now, as of the beginning of November, it's only government vehicles that are being required to have the new number plates with the tracking devices. But it's mandatory. People have to pay for it. It is expensive for them. And that just adds to insults to injury because they are being basically, they're being monitored by the authorities and being required to pay for that. And so it's a huge concern for many people.
Yeah. At the same time, though, government may be justified because even though you say that these attacks on high-profile people happened some 5 years ago, we do know of recent attacks from militant groups who have attacked even visitors. I remember a story about tourists being attacked at a national park there. And so government may feel that they are justified. However, there is the element of oversight. That has been raised sharply by yourselves. What about the oversight mechanisms in order to try and keep government in check?
Right. So this whole system, it's been marred with controversy and a lot of opaqueness. The way that the company that is delivering the project was sought out, parliamentarians themselves told Human Rights Watch and have spoken publicly about how there was basically no due diligence that was conducted for this company. We also don't know the specifics of how this system is going to be run. The government has been very, I think, very intentionally non-transparent about that process. So we don't entirely know how it's going to be run. We don't know how they are going to ensure that the data that they are collecting is going to be protected. And it really, I think ultimately, while crime is a real issue, addressing crime is a real issue, the government doesn't have to take these kinds of steps. If they're really serious about fighting crime, they can do it in ways that don't violate human rights issues and the right to privacy.
Finally, therefore, what is the way forward now? Is it basically all systems go, or do you think that government is likely to listen to that criticism?
Well, there are many groups such as Human Rights Watch and other local groups who are challenging the system. They are obviously raising important points about how it violates the right to privacy, which is guaranteed in Uganda's constitution and international law. The hope is that this system will be scrapped. I hope that the courts where people are applying for a resolution will listen to the arguments that are being made, but also that the government will recognize that this just doesn't correlate with a democratic, rights-respecting environment, and take better steps to address these issues instead of ones that violate, as I said, human rights.
All right. Oryem Nyeko, thank you very much for your time and trying to put us in the picture there about this situation in Uganda. He is a researcher attached to Human Rights Watch.